Okay. Well, thank you, everybody who's joined this today's webinar on recommended system alignments. My name is Chris Stockton. I'm your presenter today. I've been working with Telex equipment here since 2006, so I am a technical specialist here. And we're going over today some recommended system alignments. Let's go ahead and get started today. All right, so basically what we're going to talk about is how to do a system alignment. Coming into an IP223 to CSoft, we're going to talk about how you can align your whole system together between portable to portable and try to get the same audio level into CSoft. So, step one, what we want to do is to be able to capture the expected audio levels coming from a portable to portable audio system, either going through a repeater system or doing simplex communications, using a device here to be able to measure that audio. We can measure that audio level. And so as an example here, we got about a -1 dB level that we're kind of measuring. So you want to measure and record the peak receive audio level from portable to portable on this on a service monitor. Step two, from that audio level, that -1, what you want to do is inject that same audio level into the radio system. So then we'll say we're injecting a 1K tone at about a -1 over the air coming into this radio. What you want to do now is then adjust the receive level on the IP223 down to about a -3 dB. Now, you can view this level either with the VU meter application, which you see pictured off to the right-hand part of the screen here, or you could possibly use the VU meter on the IP223 itself. So, what you could do to restate is that using the service monitor, inject the recorded level from step one into the mobile radio attached to the IP223. So you want to adjust the receive potentiometer for about a -3 dB at the RX test point. Now, the level to the network should be around -3 dB for voice peaks. Now, you want to make sure that you have the RX AGC turned off to make sure that the AGC is not affecting your levels there. Step three, from starting with the HB4, we can now adjust the headset gain until the audio level is about a -4 dB. And you want to be able to measure that on the VU meter application, or perhaps even measuring it at the HB4 system status page itself. And you can use that to kind of see what your levels are getting at onto the network for transmit levels. So once you've got that achieved, then we could go ahead and align the rest of the audio sources coming into the network. So in this example, we're adjusting the headset, the desk mic, and any other available headsets that might be connected to the HB4. And this would also include the HB3 Plus if you do have one installed at one of your sites. So to restate, you want to adjust any mic gains for any other attached microphone until the same audio level is achieved. So special note here is that the audio level will be dependent on the microphone type and also location. So the level will never be perfect, but you want to get close to that -4 dB. Step 5. So what you want to do is then go ahead and with any other parallel audio sources for transmit, you want to be able to make sure that you get the same peak levels. So you want to make sure that you test this with anybody who's going to be able to use the system. You've got your big burly guys, or you got your little ladies that like to that are typically on the dispatch centers. You can go ahead and have them test the audio level so that we can get the proper alignments with multiple different voice types. So make sure that the TX audio is clear and not distorted with a variety of user voices. Step 6. So now what you can do is once you know you got your -4 dB level coming out across the network, now you want to do is adjust your transmit audio levels by adjusting the transmit outputs on the IP223, or you could also do that on the software gain page on the IP224. And you you want to adjust to match the same level recorded in step 1. So on the transmit out, you want to be able to make sure that your output coming out of your radio is about the same level as what you did in the first step, according to the two portables that you have here. On the left-hand part of the screen, we measured a -1. So we want to make sure that the transmit out coming from the console is coming out the radio at about a -1. Even though our audio levels on the network is a -4, use your transmit outputs to boost it up to the -1 level that you originally measured with your service monitor. So the console transmit audio should be equal to the level of another radio user talking from portable to portable. This is going to be key. One of the next final steps here, step 7, from portable to portable, you make sure that you got your -1 dB. Then from any other receivers to match steps 1 and 2. So you want to be able to make sure that everybody hits the network at approximately the same level. And finally, align all the remaining transmitters to match step 6. So the key differences between an okay or great installation is the correct alignment of consoles and radio endpoint IP223s or IP224s. So this is the steps that we just went through. So we got steps 1, 2, and 3 here. Then you got steps 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So basically, the main key takeaways is that you want to make sure that all receivers hit the network at the same level. Parallel transmit audio should be close to the RX audio on the network. Console audio to a user in the field should be equal to a portable-to-portable call. Also note is that the paging and alert tone levels should be adjusted in CSoft and not with any adjustments to the IP223 or IP224, if at all possible. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to talk about how you can adjust your HB3 Plus audio. So this would be done on step 3. So in this case, we're going to use the HB3 Plus as our headset box. And now this is one of our older headset boxes, but this is how you would go ahead and adjust your levels. First, you want to make sure you adjust your desk microphone gains. And then the headset microphone gains is actually done in the computer sound card settings, which is pictured here with the PC sound card adjustments that you see here. And then from there, then you got your adjustments that you can do into CSoft itself with the mic AGC circuit here. If you had this little box checked, you could effectively adjust your microphone audio. And of course, how it comes out of there is it comes through the network to our IP223. Now, I wanted to talk a little bit about CSoft Designer and about different levels that you can actually set up in here. Now, this is going to be audio that's played back to the dispatcher. Now, this is just aside from other alignments that you can do, but what you can actually adjust on what the dispatcher hears. So we think about emergency tones, like alert tones that come into the dispatcher, group call tones, talk permit tones, page beeps, rings, select call tones, and even side tones of the system. There's also one other place here that I wanted to point out is the volume controls into CSoft. What's important when you add volume controls into CSoft is making sure that you go in and adjust your maximum gain on the volume controls. By default, what we like to do is to go ahead and set the maximum gain to a plus 12 dB. You see down here at the bottom of the volume control, you'd see where you set this level to about the minus, or not a minus 12, but a plus 12 dB. So that way it gives you full volume control on the per line or even master volume control buttons. Now here, we got a picture of the HB4 gains. This is actually the picture of the web page of the HB4. And see here is that you can adjust the microphone input gains here. You got the RJ11 desk microphone setting. You got the headset mic that you can adjust up or down, and the XLR. I did want to note here the microphone input noise threshold. By default, I recommend that everybody have their input adjust your NINA inputs and outputs on this page. And, of course, if you are doing recording out of the back of the HB4, you can adjust your gains up or down on the select or common record out volumes. Next is the IP223 software gains that we can adjust. Now, besides the potentiometers on the IP223, you also have a software side that you can adjust. Now, you got the headset mic gain, which is basically if you plugged in a handset to the front of the IP223 here, you could actually increase or decrease the gain on that. Go back here. And then, of course, the handset side tone gain, if you can't really hear yourself talking, you can boost that audio up or down. Now, keep in mind is that the gain setups on the IP223 is after the potentiometer. So the idea is that when you're aligning your IP223, you want to make sure you get it close with the potentiometer first, and then use the gains there to go ahead and fine-tune it. Now, in this example, you'll see my transmit gain at about a minus 28.5. What I have connected to this IP223 is a Kenwood radio. And long story short, it's best to pad your gain down a little bit, so that way it's easier to align to a particular radio. In my case, this is a TK7150, and to get good audio out, well, without overdriving the radio input, I adjusted my transmit gains down by 28.5. So that way it was good audio coming out of it. And, of course, I got my receive gain down about a minus 3 because the audio coming from my radio is a little hot. But either way, you got your CT CSS recorder output gains you can adjust, your transmit voice gain, and MSK tone gains. Now, the MSK is the actual tones that are coming out of the IP223. It could be Fleet Sync, it could be MDC, it could be DTMF, it could be any of these tones that the IP223 can generate. So you can set the expected gain out on top of what you set with the potentiometer. And, of course, you got if you have a TDI connected to an IP223, you can adjust your TDI gains on there as well. And finally, we're going to get down to our IP224. The IP224 has no jumpers in it, so everything is done from the web page of the IP224 by setting gains. So what you can adjust here, as you see, is you can adjust your analog record outs. You can adjust your CT CSS inputs and outputs. You can adjust your handset mic inputs, your handset side tones, if you had a handset connected to the IP224. And then let's go a little further down here. You can adjust your handset outputs. You can adjust your RX AGC. Now, by default, you're going to find your AGC turned off. And you want to leave that off when you're doing your alignment, so that way you can go down to the bottom here to your RX and TX gains and adjust your receive inputs, your transmit outputs, and then, of course, then adjust your TX-IP inputs. And then, of course, if you do use monitor, you can adjust that as well. So, long story short, the key takeaway here is that you want to make sure that all receivers hit the network at the same level. Parallel transmit audio should be close to the RX audio on the network. Console audio to a user in the field should be equal to a portable to portable out in the field. And then finally, paging and alert tone levels should be adjusted in CSoft and not with any adjustments to the IP223 or IP224 if you can do that.
For any questions or comments to this webinar, please contact us at 1-800-898-6723 or at the above email address at telexdispatchtechsupport@us.bosch.com. Thank you for attending today's webinar. Have a great day.